Okay, we're picking up where we left off. This is part 4 of developing graphical user interface for Linux or Windows using Lazarus and the free Pascal compiler. So let's continue on. This is our log on window that we developed, and if I hit F12, that brings up the source code editor, and this is the source code for the logon window that we created. Okay, you're going to notice a difference here. These lines, the lines that were formerly here, were incorrect. To determine the correct file separator, to define it, you use an if defined, if def, then the name of the operating system, and then if that's true, then this define, let me indent this a little bit, then this define will happen. And so if it's Windows, the file separator is a backslash, and if it's Linux, the file separator is a forward slash. That's a change that needs to be made in the source code that we were playing with. Okay? Alright. Let me save that little indent change I made. Okay. Now, let's look down in our code here. Clear this. Okay. And let's see, if I want to just compile this to check for errors, I can do Control F9. That's what we'll do, just to get this kind of cleaned up. Control F9. There we go. Okay, and it's showing we have no errors. All right. Okay, now the next step is we want to see if our file sep got set correctly. So what I can do is I can set what they call a breakpoint. I just did it. I clicked in front of the line number 57, which is the if statement that follows this full path being set. By the way, that's another change I've made since the last time we looked at this code. I added a variable full path, and it's a string. And then I added the line right here that says full path is equal to the current directory plus the file separator plus the constant, string constant, users.dat. Okay, that's a change. I did that because I want to be able to see if this gets set properly. And then in the if statement that follows it, I have if the file does not exist, this full path, then execute this code. And right now we know this file doesn't exist yet because we haven't created it. All right. So let's set a breakpoint here, and let's run the code, and then we can examine full path. I'll show you how we do that. So we will hit F9. Our process executes. We're going to put in a bad password, John Smith, and then hit tab. And now I want to look at the code. So what I do is I'll just click on that tab behind those form designers, and we can now see that this breakpoint has an arrow pointing to the right, and that the line is now has a background of gray. That indicates that the application is running and that it's stopped on this line. So that means full path, the line above it, did execute. So if I hover over full path, you'll see that full path has a complete name and that the file separators are correct, I believe. Let me get my cheaters on just to make sure. Yes, the file separators are correct. Right. The file separator right here between the path, which it got from get current directory, and the user's string constant, they're correct. And you'll notice I can put the cursor on any any occurrence of full path in the code, and that it will give me the same information. All right. So that's how you set a breakpoint, and you can set multiple breakpoints. Let's say now it's currently running. Let's say I want to set a breakpoint right here. You can do it while the code's running. I've just set a breakpoint there, right? Now, you can execute the next statement in your code by pressing F8, which is what I'm going to do now, okay? I'm going to press F8, okay? It just executed that next statement, right? Now, I typed in John Smith. So this backdoor thing is not going to execute. I don't think it will. So what I can do is at this else begin down here, I can set another breakpoint. Now, when I hit F8, you'll notice that it didn't trigger here. It triggered down here, just like it should. Okay? Now we will leave these breakpoints the way they are right now, right? And I will restart. First I'll finish execution. Okay, it finished execution, and I'm going to close it. And now we're back to our window, right? And we're missing our toolbar. I'll bring that back by clicking down there on that the Lazarus icon. Now, let's rerun this. We'll press F9. We'll rerun it, and I'll put back for user ID and door in for password, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we put in back, tab, door, tab, our code executed. We can now look at the source code. It's stopped once again on that breakpoint, and we can look at full path, right? And it's what we expect it should be. Now, I did type in backdoor. So that means that this if statement will pass, and it will execute the code in here, right? So let's try that. I'll hit F9 to continue executing code. Now I got to type. It keeps bringing that up. I don't know why. Okay, so now it's down here. So it did start executing the statements in this if statement because it recognized back and door. And if I hover over user ID, it's currently set at badmin. And if I hover over username, it's set at badministrator. All right? Excuse me. So, what if we want to watch these variables while the program's executing? Okay? So what I can do is you can set what they call a watch. If you go to View, Debug Windows, and Watches, and you can get there instantly by pressing Control-Alt-W. I'll click it though, and we see this little Watches window pop up over here, right? If I want to add a watch, I just click the plus sign in the toolbar, and now it's asking me for an expression. Now it could be, this can also be an identifier, right? It could be a variable name in your program. So what I will do is I will put some variable names in. I want to watch the contents of user ID, and that happens to be a string. I'll come down here and tell it that it's a string, press OK. Then I want to also watch to see what username is. Yep, this helps if you spell correctly. User name, right? And that's also a string. I'm just going to tell it that. Press OK. And let's see if I want, maybe I want to see what the visible property is doing. Okay, so I will just add the visible property. So visible, right? Click OK. All right, currently visible is true. Okay, and it's showing me the contents of the user ID and username. And I can just execute this code a step at a time by pressing F8. I'll press F8 now. Oh! I don't think it set those. Let's go back and run this again. Let's just. There's always something happening here. Drives me crazy. Okay, let's hit F shift. It's just F9. Okay, and we're going to type in backdoor, B-A-C-K, tab, D-O-O-R, tab. Okay, and our breakpoint triggered, and it's right here, right? And we can see a full path is correct, the way we expected it. Now I'm going to step through it. And as I step through the code here, watch what happens in the watch window over here, okay? So I'm going to step, it's F8 to just step one statement at a time. Okay, it's now going to test to see if I typed in backdoor. I did, right? And now I'm on the statement where it's going to set the value of user ID. I'm going to step to the next statement. And you'll notice that in my watch window, user ID is now showing the value that was set. All right. Now I'm going to hit F8 and execute the statement that sets the username. Watch in the watches window when I press that. I'm going to press it now. And you see that administrator the username got set to BA administrator. Now I will press F8 a few more times. And now we're to the visible equals false. Currently visible is true because the logon window is being displayed. So I will press F8 and it should set it to false. And it did. So we can monitor multiple variable names in our watch window and just step through the code and watch the variables and see if it's doing what we expect it to do. I think that's a pretty powerful debugging feature that's available in Lazarus. Okay. That's, I think, everything that I wanted to show you today. I know it's a short one. Trying to keep them a little shorter. Oh, the other thing. Let's say you've set a whole bunch of breakpoints all through your program, all kinds of places. How do you clear them, right? Well, I think it's Control-Alt-B brings up the breakpoint window. Control-Alt-B, there it is. And now you can see all these breakpoints are set. It has all the line numbers where they, line numbers, and it doesn't have lengths, but line numbers. And it has that there's a breakpoint set there. If you want to clear, if you're at a point where you've discovered your bug, you've fixed it, you want to clear all the breakpoints, all you have to do is come up here to this little icon. It looks like a brush or a flashlight or something. I don't know what that is. At any rate, when you hover over it, it says delete all. You can just click that. And you confirm that you want to delete all the breakpoints. And it gets rid of all of them for you. Okay? The same is true of the watches. Okay? If I hover over that little icon, it says delete all. If I click the icon, it doesn't ask you if you want to delete them all. It just deletes them all. A little inconsistency there in the Lazarus interface, I would say. All right. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I think that's enough for today. You've seen how to use the macro properly now. And you can detect what operating system you're on and set which file separator you need to use if you're going to create paths to files. And you've seen a little bit of debugging and how it works, how Lazarus can help you find the values of things set during runtime. Very powerful feature. I'm going to let it go at that. As always, if you find this content useful, please give me a like, and if you want to see more, subscribe. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Have a good day.